Welcome back to part 2 of how to make a tracking document on your iPad using numbers. In part 1 we made the class sheet, and now in part 2 we're going to make the individual student sheet. The first thing we want to do is press the plus sign underneath spreadsheets on the top left. Double click where sheet 3 is and put in your student's name, Alexa. If you don't know your student's name, you just put student 1. Now double click sheet 1. Let's rename this whole class. Done. Let's press Alexa. Now we have our 2 tabs. What I'm going to do here is on top, I'm going to highlight these 4 cells and make them one by merging them. Now I'm going to click the painter's brush, go to cell, let's change the color. We're going to pick yellow, the same as the pretest in this whole class sheet. Okay. And we could type in pretest. Now we could type in pretest and edit this with the painter's brush, clicking cell. Let's increase the font. Click cell again. Let's center justify everything. Click fill color, and we're gonna click the yellow, the same color as the whole class sheet. And we're done. Next step is this cell on the left, cell A1, we want that to have the student's name. In this case, it's going to be Alexa. But we could type in Alexa, or we could link it up to another cell where Alexa's name will be. So we're going to double tap, press the equal sign. The equal sign brings up the function keyboard. It's waiting for a command. Now we're going to tap the whole class tab on the top to go back to the first page. And we're going to find Alexa's name and highlight that cell. Press a checkbox. Now you have Alexa's cell, name in that cell. So every time we change this cell, let's say we change it to Alex, now that cell will change also. That's important because you don't want to have to change a student's name. You want it to change automatically. Go change it back to Alexa. Go back to Alexa's tab. Now we want to make Alexa's tab look similar. Let's center justify. Let's increase the font. And let's make it the same color. Let's drop the font just a little bit. Now what we want, merge these cells. This is going to be my throwing cell. I could type in throwing, or once again, I could press equals, go back, and just tap the throwing with throwing. And that way, if I change it in there, it'll change there also. Okay. Now, these next two are going to be merged as well. Double tap to bring up the keyboard, press the equal sign, and I want to make this my catching cell. Now you would do this for all your different object control skills or fitness skills that you're going to be teaching. But for this video, we're just going to show you those two. Next, I want to link up the cells under pretest to the cells in the whole class. Let's highlight the first cell, double tap it, press the equal sign. Now, press whole class to get to the first sheet and go up, and we're going to put in our quantitative data. So let's type the distance and let's click the check, green check. So now this cell is equal to that distance, to that cell that says distance. Next step, let's copy this cell. Let's try that again. Tap it, there it is. Copy, drag it over, paste. If that paste doesn't come up right away, just highlight the whole cell and tap it softly until the paste comes up. It sometimes takes a while. And remember, we're still pasting formula, not value. Tap paste formula. Accuracy and distance and accuracy also came up. Now when I did that, it pasted the formulas of the cells directly to the right of that first distance cell. So it worked out perfectly for me because on the whole class sheet, the cells, the three cells next to the first distance are accuracy, distance, accuracy. And I wanted the same thing to show up on these cells. So again, if I change them on the other page, they will change here. Now on these cells, I want the score. I want this score to show up on that. And since this score is directly beneath this distance cell, and that I could just paste the formula there, and also do that for all these. Try that again. Paste formulas, remember, not values. And now the values that I've inputted on the whole class sheet, these appear over here. So now let's go ahead and center justify everything, make everything look nice and neat. And I'll make all this fill color yellow because this is all my pretest. Catching, we want to do the same thing we just did. Equals, go back to the whole class sheet, go to your catching. We want distance. We're going to copy, paste the formulas, go down here, paste formulas. And we don't have any scores for her and distance and accuracy. Let's put some in. Let's say here she needed some hand over hand prompting. Her hands are ready. No. She was able to track the ball though. Her body didn't move. From 5 feet, she was able to do 20%, so she's kind of low in that area. So we'll test her again. The second time, she did much better at 60%. Those scores will appear there. So that's how you can make your student's individual sheet. So now that we have one student individual sheet, we need to duplicate that to make our second student sheet. Let's tap once on Alexa's tab on top to pull up the duplicate and delete tab. First duplicate, and so now we have two tabs of individual student sheet. But let's go ahead and rename this one to our student 2, which is Mona. But the scores here are still Alexa scores, so we need to change and correlate these to Mona scores. So the fastest way to do this is double tap one of the cells that has an equation in it, and then we're going to tap the equation itself where it says whole class table 1 A3. Let's tap that, and that'll take you to the cell that it's linked to. So if you tap it, see, it's telling us it's linked to this cell. So we need to change that. We need to change it to Mona cell. We'll do it again right now. Once you did it, if you did it correct, it usually changes colors on you. You just press a. Alright, so now the distances are still Alexa's distances, so we need to change those also. So let's tap the 5 foot one, double tap it to bring up the keyboard. There's the equation that we did before. Again, here it is again. We're going to tap the equation itself. On here it says whole class table 1 F3. Tap it, it'll take you to the equation. We want Mona's score, which is right below Alexa's. So let's tap the cell. And again, it changed colors. Then you press check. A 0 appeared because there's no score in there. But now we don't have to do that no more. Now we could just copy this one and paste the formula. And to make sure we did it right, let's check one of the formulas by double tapping, bringing up the formula, tapping the formula, and making sure it's in Mona's row. So now we know we did it right. The distance is still Alexa's, so we do the same thing. Double tap to bring up the equation, tap the equation, and then tap Mona's row, check, and then copy and paste the formula. The same steps that we did before. Let's check it. Bring up one of the equations, tap the equation, and now it's in Mona's row. Let me go ahead and show you our original document. And it has a throwing and catching section just like what we just did. A little more elaborate with the rest of the 6 object control skills that we usually test. And we also include for elementary as locomotor skills with more qualitative data. When we keep on going, it changes color to the mid-year test. But all the object control skills are still there along with the locomotor skills. And at the very bottom, we have our post test. We like to test 3 times a year for our students. That way we have try to keep the most accurate data throughout the year. And their individual student sheet looks a little different just from what we did, just because it's all 3 pre-tests, mid-year tests, and post-tests all together. So this is an example of something what you could do with yours, because it eventually look like if you keep on going. The secondary sheet is very similar. Has a throwing and catching, and you see all those zeros for all those equations that we did. Again, it has a mid-year test. We don't have the locomotor skills, just the object control skills in this one. But for secondary, we added a fitness tab on the next tab for all the fitness gram testing that we need to do, and all the fitness testing that we do on a weekly basis, like the mile run, pacer, step test, sit-ups, push-ups, sit and reach, trunk lift, and all this data also goes onto their student individual sheet, height and weight. And again, we have it for the mid-year and post-year if you keep on going down. And the student sheet has all their data here, pre-test, mid-year, and post-test. This is the end of our tutorial. I hope it was helpful, and I wish you good luck in your development of your tracking documents.